Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video explaining the install of the handguard you see before you. This is one of the two-piece free float handguards from Midwest Industries, designed for a A2 front sight post, and ideally something you can do without having to remove your barrel nut or your A2 front sight post. Might have run into some snafus with that. However, we'll be going through the entire process here in this video. If you guys recognize this rifle, this is the Broke to Bougie rifle that I've been doing the series on. I've been using the Magpul two-piece handguard up until this point. However, I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted to free float it to see what effect that has on accuracy with this barrel from PSA. I will still probably at some point end up doing a low profile gas block, but Midwest Industries was kind enough to send me one of these to test out as well. So I figured before I go all the way to the free float, let's go ahead and try one of these two-piece systems for those of you who really like having your fixed front sight post or something along those lines, but want something free floated or something modern or something that allows you to get accessories mounted far further forward. You can see this flashlight here, the Streamlight HLX we've been using, way further forward, almost to the end of the barrel, instead of way back here at the front sight post, causing a huge shadow. So let's go ahead and jump into the beginning of the install on this. Install only took me about 10 hours total, but that's not the fault of the handguard. That's because I came in before work today at the gun store to start the install and didn't get it quite done before we opened, so then I had to finish it up now after we closed. So normally speaking, it's not going to take nearly that long. Just something I thought I would mention. So obviously first up is going to be removing the old stuff on the handguard. As you can see, I'm just cutting through these quote-unquote Ranger bands because, you know, bike inner tube tire costs us really nothing. Then just a matter of getting the old handguard off. As you can see, I didn't quite cut through that front one, but now with the handguard off, we can start getting to the barrel nut. Now to the barrel nut, the instructions tell you to just Dremel through the delta ring. As you can see, that's what I'm working on here. It was a little bit more effort than I expected to put into. Granted, I've used this cutting wheel quite a bit, so possibly a new tool would have gone a long way. Basically just went at it from both sides until I got sufficiently deep into there. I'll let you use your imagination there. One quick tip, do not do this over the other parts, otherwise you will make those very messy. So then once I got it deep enough before it got quite too far, I just used a screwdriver to pry it apart, and then both sides came apart no problem. Just made it a lot easier than trying to go deep enough to where you're accidentally going to put some marks into your barrel nut. And then the retaining spring came off pretty easily, just prying it off, and then the little C-clip, just went ahead and decided to Dremel that through just to, I guess, put some more use with that guy. And since it's steel on steel, you can see, or since it's steel, you can see more sparks coming off. And then basically took the same approach with this as I did on the delta ring, where once I got it about as deep as I felt comfortable going, I just used a screwdriver to pry it apart, and then just took a little taps going the other direction, and we got all that stuff off. Now, this is where things went a little haywire. So the directions say you can cut through the handguard retainer with tin snips, possibly better snips than the ones I was using. Tried using some diagonal cutters as well. That didn't quite go as I would have liked it, so I just decided to go ahead, push out the taper pins, take off the whole front sight block assembly totally, took the A2 bird cage off, and then slid the whole thing off. Had this thing been pin and welded, maybe we would have put more effort in, but since I had the tools available, I just decided this would be a lot easier route to do it. Now with the old stuff off, it's just a matter of putting in the new one. I found it easier to lay it upside down because the bottom of the handguard indexes into your sling loop retainer, and then just got everything started hand tight, going through all 6 screws, or possibly 8 screws if my memory serves. I believe it's 8 screws, two at the back, 1 in the middle, and then 1 at the front on both sides. So just got them hand tight, and then I went through with a Wheeler fat wrench to actually get things to the proper torque as specified in the instructions, just to get this thing finally squared away. With the install of the handguard complete, it's just a matter of reattaching my old accessories. In this case, again, the Streamlight HLX and its tape switch. I've already switched the configuration since the filming of this video, basically moving the pressure pad out in front of the front sight post just to make it a little bit more ergonomic. Once again, using Ranger bands to attach everything, but you'll see that more in the review. But here you can see the before. And of course, here is the after. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. So as you guys can see, we did run into some slight issues with getting things totally squared away, especially with the handguard retainer. Honestly, having the proper tools to do so, I am of the opinion that I would rather just completely remove everything, just take the front sight post off. Now, if you're running a 14.5 pin and weld, I get where being able to cut things off in situ, so to speak, would be better suited for your situation. However, again, when you have all the resources and tools at your disposal to be able to remove your A2 front sight post, it would have just been a lot easier and a lot more straightforward to do something like that from the get-go. It would have saved me a little bit of effort and buying tools that ended up not being needed. But tin snips, I feel like, are a good thing to have in general. Now, obviously, there's some cable management issues going on here. I'm going to dial that in once I get home. I'm going to evaluate what the best course of action is. Probably going to be using the same Ranger band style stuff I did before on this. But again, we'll get that sorted out once I have time to sit down and actually take a look at this. But overall, so far, handguard feels pretty freaking solid. It is definitely not making contact with the A2 front sight post or the bayonet lug here underneath, so we are free floated. We'll be doing testing with it. Again, this isn't a review of the handguard, more just the install process and how that stuff works. But I will be doing some shooting with this, see how we like it, and then we will still probably end up switching to one of the Midwest Industries combat rails that I've been using for years and years and years and really love those. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you have a similar experience to my install, let me know. If you are able to remove things like your handguard retaining band without having to disassemble it, definitely let me know that as well. But anyway, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.